what's going to blow your mind? It's not what's minimum anymore at all. It's what is over the top. How many more cherries can I stuff into this pie? Okay, that's a lot of bourbon. How much more can I put? Oh, can we use the extra good stuff? Can we make sure that we use the extra good stuff? I was like, oh, that bourbon, it tastes a little, I don't know. We're going to use the more expensive one. Like nowadays, I feel like I'm in it to go big. I want whatever it is that you have, one biteful, one mouthful, to be like, that's the best pie I've ever had.
Welcome to the $1 Million Filipino Freelancer Podcast. This is Niel Reichl, and this is a very special one because this is the first time that we're doing an in-person interview. And before we introduce our guest, syempre, bit of background muna. These are the people who are the craziest people who would ever price a pie this much. Trivia, even Sam YG went here. Trivia again, they also had to wait for the wait list. They had to be on the wait list for a good number of time, more than a year, just to get this outrageous pie. So, we'll learn a lot from them, pricing-wise, imposter syndrome, labeling a pie, those other things, and everything else. So, the geniuses behind Hey Pie People, let's welcome Rian and Colin.
Hi, nice to be here. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. We have a tradition. So, every guest would say, Hi, Bashers.
Oh, you didn't prep me on this. Okay.
It's okay. Yeah, we call our fans the Bashers.
Bashers. Hi, Bashers.
Yeah, thank you. So, first question. What gave you the guts to price a pie between, I could say the price is around 2,500. The most expensive pie that I remember ordering from you guys is 5,000 plus pesos.
Really? Oh my gosh, sorry. I don't remember.
And I was like, why is this pie so expensive? Where did you get the guts? Where did you get the confidence?
I think I felt like we don't have anything to lose. I was making every single thing by myself, by hand. If there wasn't a market for that price, then I don't have to make it. I didn't have any strategy.
That was the strategy.
I didn't have any strategy. I had a lot of support from my husband. My husband said when we were deciding whether or not we were going to start selling, because we were making for friends and family, but when we were going to actually start selling it to people, he said, just price it according to what you feel like will make it worth it for you. At that time, I had 3 small kids. He said, price it according to what's going to keep you up at night to finish them. What's going to get you to wake up in the morning and not spend those 60 minutes while the pie is baking and you're babysitting the pie, not with our kids.
Yes.
And I was like, that's why I put a hard limit on the number I made every day. And we would just do them on the weekends, or we would do them 1 or 2 days a week. And I also priced it according to what would make it feel worth it for me.
I think this is a big dilemma for a lot of freelancers, pricing what their worth is. Did you start off with this price that we see right now, or did you start off with a minimum viable product first?
Oh my gosh, no, I never used those words.
Never use those words.
I know exactly what an MVP is,
Yes.
Neil. But
because
no, I
you
never
guys are
use
from
it
the
that
tech
way.
world, diba?
No, I never use it that way. And it's funny, I actually still never use it that way now. When we are talking about the pies, when we came from tech and we were doing freelance, I said, we were like, okay, well, what's the MVP? What's the MVP? Every day it was like, what's the very minimum? Nowadays, actually, when you frame it in those terms, I'm like, what's going to blow your mind? It's not what's minimum anymore at all. It's what is over the top. How many more cherries can I stuff into this pie? Okay, that's a lot of bourbon. How much more can I put? Oh, can we use the extra good stuff? Can we make sure that we use the extra good stuff? I was like, oh, that bourbon, it tastes a little, I don't know. We're going to use the more expensive one. Like nowadays, I feel like I'm in it to go big. I want whatever it is that you have, one biteful, one mouthful, to be like, that's the best pie I've ever had. You can't MVP, you can't minimum. There's no minimum viable product there.
I see.
It's not what's the minimum. It's like, what are people willing to spend? It's like, and what's the minimum I can do? It's like, I want to make it.
So it's actually the better question is the maximum viable product.
How much more can I stuff into this pie? How much better can I make it? It's like that.
Okay. The story of the first pie. Tell us. So you made your first pie. Was it for free? Was it something that you sold? Was it priced already at this price?
Really, the first pies were, not for sale at all. The first pies is when we left the States. The reason we left the States is because I was really looking for a home.
Okay.
I wanted to come back to the Philippines. Even though I grew up, I was born and raised in the States. I only came here for holidays, for Christmas and for summers. The year after we got married, I said to my husband, I just need to be home. We still call it home. Balikbayans, all of us still call it home, even though we're only here for a month out of the year or less. I was yearning. Like there was something in my heart that just felt like I need to be in the Philippines. I couldn't imagine having a family, having kids, and I just didn't want to be alone anymore in the States. I felt alone. We left the States and I was like, I'm going to feel whole. It's going to be amazing. I'll be able to eat palabok whenever I want. I can just have turon, just like the guy just outside. I can just get it. I don't have to like go buy the plantain and then wait for it to ripen and then wrap it in the leaf and fry it myself. Like I was like, it's going to feel great. I'm going to feel whole. Then when we got here, I actually missed some things that I wasn't expecting. And then I started making pies because maybe it didn't feel quite as complete as I thought it would. Then we spent 2 years living in Brazil and Thanksgiving came around and I felt lonely again. And I started making pumpkin pie. I was like, really after this pumpkin pie, there's a different story about the pumpkin pie. But at that time, it was because I was feeling homesick and I wanted to make something that felt like Thanksgiving, which is something that we celebrated in the States. So anyway, the first pies I think were an unexpected homesickness for the States, which I really was not expecting to feel. That's kind of what inspired them.
So you started making the pies, sharing it with families and friends. How did you eventually start saying, wait, I can start selling this pies?
Oh, I didn't. I said for the longest time, like I told you, I'm not going to do it.
Okay.
I'm not going to sell them. At the very beginning, actually, I was like, it was neighbors, it was pandemic. And I was like, I don't sell it. I don't take money. We can trade. We can do a trade for something. People started bringing me wine. They started
That's
bringing
all here
me
in the Philippines.
Here in the village. Because
Okay.
it was during the pandemic too. And then at first I was giving them away to people. It was like, we baked sourdough. We started making kombucha. We started doing all those things. At first I was like, I don't like it. I don't like the feeling of taking money for this. So at first it was just all trade. Then we started getting ulam. We started getting lechon. People would send
In exchange for the pies.
Yeah. And then, and it was referral only. I told you that. At first, I didn't like the idea of having to sell this thing that I mostly just wanted to experiment with. I didn't like the idea of someone ordering a certain flavor.
Oh.
Because I was like, I'm making it in my free time. If I feel like using these apples, I'll use these apples. If I feel like using the peaches and they're ripe enough, I'll use the peaches. But I don't want you to say, I want this kind on this day. And it was too constricting for me.
It's like I'm not taking orders.
Yeah.
I'm
wasn't taking
making
orders.
pies and you have the option to buy it or you don't buy it. That's it.
Basically. I used to actually still kind of feel that way.
Have you ever thought about imposter syndrome?
Oh, for sure. I think, maybe some of that, where's the line between drawing really strong, healthy boundaries and also not going full force into starting a business because you're afraid that you can't?
Yes.
I don't think of myself as a business person, so someone who owns a food business, it was just something I started doing. It's even hard to say the words. It makes me feel uncomfortable.
So if you introduce yourself, Rian, so what is it that you do? The first things that come to mind, would you
Panic.
say?
It's weird to explain. It's hard to explain to people. I don't know. I first say things like we live in the Philippines. I say things like we live in Alabang. Sometimes someone will say, you Hey Pai people? And I'll say, oh yeah, we are. I don't introduce myself that way.
Okay. Bit of context. A lot of our listeners, they're super scared of increasing their prices. And you yourself, you've been from the tech world. You've been designing websites. You've been creating apps, right? And I think a lot of that information, a lot of that knowledge and experience, you've now transferred here to making pies. One big lesson that I've learned right now is taking off the word minimum viable product, right? And then going over the top instead, maximum. But my question to you is that, have you ever experienced getting the hate out of the prices that you set for your pies?
Absolutely. People hated it and they were hard to get. So they were expensive and they were hard to get. I think especially here in the Philippines, although anywhere, you're not used to feeling that way about a food product.
Yes.
Or about a food seller.
Yes.
Especially someone who's been making this food out of their home. Here, there's a lot of home-based food businesses. A lot of us feel like here in the Philippines that we can customize anything. We do feel that way in general about anything. You can have anything embroidered on any product. You can have any sticker put on anything. Like grab the things that you can have done here. In the end, when it comes down to it, why do we feel entitled to all those things? Because labor is cheap. why is labor cheap? We're devaluing and undervaluing all of the labor of all these people who are doing this stuff for you by hand. My God, the meticulousness in the hand embroidering these things or etching the glass in the end.
Making the pie.
Making the pies by hand.
Yeah.
So when it comes to pricing your own labor,
Yes.
I think the most important thing is to remember how much value you have and value yourself accordingly. That's what I would probably tell someone who is feeling
Was this the
nervous.
same case when you were in the tech world? When you were creating websites, designing websites, creating all those apps, did you have the same principles also as well?
Yeah, for sure. And I definitely carried that into making pies. I think the other way around, the other way to think about it is product is not a product without a price, I think. Oh my God, I just made that up. Sorry.
A product is a product.
It's not. It's a thing.
It's not a product without a price.
Yeah, the pie is not the product. The product is the pie for this price. That's the whole product has a price. The product is not the website, a collection of folders on your laptop or on a server somewhere. It's a service, right? And what I'm performing when I make a pie is a service.
Yes.
Also, what I would do when I'm thinking about pricing, I'm not trying to make money. You're trying to find a market for your product. You'll never find a market for that product without playing with price, experimenting with price. So you want to find product market fit.
Yes.
That is a term that we do use, and I do talk about that a lot more than MVP. If you want to find a fit, you need to find a fit for a product at a price. Anyone can find a fit for a free product, or maybe you can find a fit for a cheap product, but can you find a product for your certain price? And you have to play with that. And then once you find that, the demand will be astronomical. It'll feel hard to meet the demand. So it shouldn't feel like a struggle, the pricing. Once you find a fit, everyone will want you. You'll feel overwhelmed with having to perform this service or give this product to the people because there's so many people who want it.
But here's a tough one. So now that we understand how you come around with pricing, the next question is, aren't you ever scared that people are going to say it's not even worth it? Whether it was your services back then for your apps, your websites, or now with your pies.
Ooh, good question. Yeah, but that's where the bongga comes from. That's the fun.
That's where the kaba comes in, di ba? Parang,
oh wait, I'm sorry. What does that mean?
Kaba, like nervousness. Like,
okay.
All the jittery feelings, like, oh my gosh, they're gonna say that this is the worst pie ever. It's too expensive.
Like the anxiety or
the anxiety,
fear.
yeah. Were you worried about that?
I am worried. It is scary. But my job is to blow your mind.
Yeah.
That's why I love this. I love what I do. Like when we were making websites, the best it could be is not broken. The best it could be is it has a small number of bugs. Every website will have bugs. Every website will have problems and things that you need to fix. There's going to be multiple iterations. With a pie, I get one chance to blow your mind.
True.
It's the stage fright, but you gotta go for it, and that's why. And I go for it hard. Like I think that's the other thing with pricing myself this way and being at the top of my game, being the people that I feel like people look to when you're looking for a pie that's gonna impress someone.
Yes.
They come to me first, and if you're gonna come to me and you're gonna send a car all the way to Alabang to pick it up from my house, go through the hoops of filling out the form, pay this price, and it's a car, not a motorcycle, because I don't allow motorcycles.
Stay on the wait list for a good number of time.
Stay on the wait list for a year. Yeah. It better be good, and so it's my job to make it really good. If it's disappointing in any way, I replace it, no questions. I've replaced things
and you were ready for it.
Oh, yeah.
Just in case that it would happen.
I don't even think like, oh, what's the cost of replacing this thing? Can I really like make them another one? No. Like the feeling of having disappointed someone, if there's any problem, no matter how small.
Yes.
If it was late, I felt so bad before her driver was waiting outside. It was late, like 15 minutes late or 20 minutes late. I was expecting the oven to be faster. All of my batches were running late. She was running to a lunch. I sent her 3. Because I was like, I don't want you to feel like you waited so long for this pie. Then you were on the wait list for this long and you brought it to a lunch. And then it just shows up this one pie that's 30 minutes late. And then you're like, oh, that's it. I was like, here, I made these other ones. Please take them with you. I hope you enjoy them. She was like, wow.
You worried about your margins?
No, the feeling is so much more important than the margins on that one. The cost of it was the cost of goods and my stress that I put into making the extra ones for her. And the cost of my goods is nothing compared to how excited they were when their driver showed up with triple the number of pies that they ordered.
How did you know that you... Yeah, I mean, over-delivering is a rarity nowadays. And when people see that you're over delivering, they start spreading the word about you. However, taking a few steps back, how do you even know that you've really over delivered? Not just for that incident. That incident could, I mean, that could be, let's say, chamba, easy one. It's
Mm,
easy to just give like three or
mm.
whatever because it's one slate, right? But over delivering, how do you know that you've really made it, given it your best, given it like over the top talaga for that pie, for each pie that you make?
I have a relationship also with my customers that I feel really lucky to have at this scale and at this digital age where
Yes.
people doesn't don't come into my shop and see me in person and we
Mhm.
have a conversation. They talk to me online. So we've been online friends for for months or something. And then they come to my house and see me in person and see my kids. It's my home. It's my
Yes.
house, you know. Like
It's
you're a
you. It's a
yeah.
person. Yeah.
And when you come and pick up a pie, you're a guest in my home. You
Yeah.
came to visit me. So I come out and I have to meet you. You came all the way to my house. I'm not gonna, you know, be in here while somebody else gives, you know. So I think I have a relationship where I get to know them.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not saying I do this all the time because I'm also busy, but when I can
First
to
hand witness. Yeah.
to take care of you and to make sure it's really good in small ways like making extra, in other small ways like just following up and saying happy anniversary, how was your
Mm.
anniversary, was it good, like did they like it? I've sent pies to the very first time that they met as the parents, as boyfriend and girlfriend.
Mm.
She brought a pie to her future in-laws and they
Yeah.
got engaged. I was like, how did it go meeting the in-laws? I mean, I think, what did your mother-in-law say? Oh, she said that she really liked this and it was not too sweet and she really likes cardamom. My mother-in-law really loves, or you know, not the mother-in-law yet.
Yeah.
She really loves cardamom. And then the next time there's a cardamom pie and she orders it and you remember that that's something that she really likes, are you going to bring it to her? I think there's just ways in which you take care of people. It's not just over delivering. It's like it's forming real relationships. And I think I
Mm.
formed a lot of real relationships with neighbors and friends and co-parents
Yeah.
that are based in truth.
Yeah.
You know what I
True.
mean? And just remembering, I feel like is one way of over delivering and not counting. At some point I
Mm.
stopped counting. It's just it's the feelings that make me do what I do anyway. You know what I mean? Not the margins.
Yes.
Another story is like somebody told me her husband, he tried the pie for the first time. This wasn't even that long ago. He had a memory of a chocolate chip cookie pie that he
Okay.
had in Canada somewhere. He grew up in Canada, went to grade school in Canada and had a chocolate chip pie. And I was like, I've never heard of that. I was like, a chocolate chip pie. It's definitely not something I would not really make, but it sounds really homey. And she sent me a video of her husband talking about the chocolate because he just wanted to tell me about it.
Yes.
And I was like really interested. I've never heard of this. I was like, what kind of chocolate chips were it? Was it dark chocolate? Was it milk chocolate? Was it like a cookie? And she was like, no, it was more like fudgy. Then they sent me a picture, a peg of it. And I was like so interested about it. And I loved his enthusiasm for this pie. I made one in the middle of the night and I sent it to him the next day.
Mm. And the reaction was?
I think he cried.
Because all the memories, right? Going
Yeah,
back, right?
it's so special.
I think you're not
They
selling the
didn't
pies. You're selling experiences.
they didn't ask me for that. You know what I mean? They were like, we're so hiya.
Oo.
And then they sent me this like huge balloon thing for the kids to say thank you. And there's no charge for that. I wasn't like, would you like to commission me to make this chocolate chip
Mm-mm.
pie from your husband's childhood? It's so much more fun to surprise someone with it.
Me being the party pooper, okay, with all of this, I think a lot of our listeners would say that's easy for you to do, Rian, because you're not desperate for money.
Mm.
That's easy for you to decide on because you'd say you're well off or you're not requiring your pie making to make money. What can you
Mm.
say about that?
From a freelance, if I was going to apply this and go back to
Yes.
freelance, what I would do is pad my projects so well that you don't have that pressure to deliver within the hours that you've allotted for each deliverable.
Details, please. Specifics.
Okay, when we were used to do freelance, we mostly worked for it wasn't freelance. We had a firm.
Yes.
It was basically a firm. We had contracts.
Agency. The big
We were an agency. My husband's agency. I came in as the like project manager, biz dev person. I was also a designer. I was actually mostly in charge of pricing.
Okay.
He was the back end, and I
Okay.
was the one having client facing meetings, talking to them about the deliverables. When we would spec a project for someone, we would ask them. I would always get to what's the value? What's the value of this app for your business.
Mm-mm.
Oh, this is going to be the main revenue generating service or platform. You
Mhm.
need this app in order for your organization to continue to run. That
Mhm.
is very critical.
Yes.
This thing that I'm performing for you is very mission critical for your organization. It should be priced accordingly. Pricing it according to the value, not according to the, it's going to be this many screens, this many drafts.
Yes.
It has this kind of functionality that's about this core plus this many modules. It'll take us this many hours. We priced it according to the value that it had to the client. That value is determined more by the client's own budget than it is by your prices.
True.
So you ask them in the beginning, you find out from your client, what's their operating budget?
Yes.
What are the top people in their organization paid? How much do they make? I think that's how I used to approach it.
But weren't you scared of not getting the deal when pricing those projects?
Yeah, but if you don't get that deal, that's more time to get another one that is a better fit for you.
I think that's a better view of how things when you're talking about pricing and then bringing it back to the pies, right? I think one unique angle also when it comes to marketing is that people get so curious, why are these pies so expensive? Just like when a service is so expensive, they start to become more curious about it and they start to ask, right? Was it done on purpose that you price a pie so high?
Yeah. And also we had no strategy. But it was
But which is now the effective strategy, right?
yeah, it was on purpose because my husband really looked at me and he asked me if we're actually going to start doing this and we're going to be selling pies out of the house. And he was still doing tech work. So at night, he was programming while I was rolling out dough. He's like, what's going to make it worth it for you to spend that time making these pies for other people and not making dinner for us at home or not spending time with the kids or, missing a school pickup. I didn't miss a school pickup for the first whole year for pie because I said I'm not going to do it.
Yes.
What's going to make it worth it for you?
I agree. But it's a tough question to ask ourselves, right? What is the price going to be worth to us? But I think at one point in our lives, we should really be asking it. Otherwise, we'll lose so much time.
Yes.
Right?
And you don't get that back.
You don't get that back. You can't buy it from someone else, right? Speaking of marketing, let's go to marketing. And you said you're not a marketing person, which I doubt.
I didn't study it at all. I have no idea.
Why the waitlist?
I had too many orders and I didn't know what to do with them. And they were just DM me. People would just message me and my inbox was so backed up. The only thing I could do was say, you could fill this out. And if I happen to be able to add more slots or add another day, or then I'll just pull you from the wait list. But at some point, my wait list was so long, nobody ever got off of it.
Yeah.
When we started making more, then we started being able to pull people off more regularly.
Okay.
And the other thing I would do is I would plan my weeks with lots of time off, like just to protect my time.
Yes.
So I would plan my weeks with like maybe 50% actual capacity. So once we started being able to make more, open up a wait list and then say, okay, if the first half of this week goes well, I'll double the number of batches for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then I was pulling people off the wait list and that was so fun.
I think what we're getting at right now from this interview is that what you've actually done is this isn't just a lesson about pricing, but it's also a lesson about designing your life, right? And then making the hard decisions. So all the other decisions come easier.
Yeah.
And one of that angles would be the pricing. That one of those angles would be, okay, do I decide to make a wait list or not? Another question, going back to imposter. The pies are so expensive. The pies look so beautiful, but you didn't mind just having a very basic Google form. You guys are from the tech world. You build websites. World.
Yes.
Right? But you just put a plain Google form there. Didn't that scare you? Na, oh my gosh, you claim to be the best and now you don't even have a website to intake the form?
I don't have time to make a website. I got out of tech on purpose. Why make a form? Google makes a form. Google has so much more money to make a form than me. They make such better forms than I could ever make by hand. I mean, seriously, we didn't have time for that. It works perfectly well. All I need is a name and an Instagram handle and the day you want it.
Okay, fine.
There's nothing that does that better than Google Forms
fine,
for me.
Okay.
I used to make my clients use Google Forms for things.
Oh.
Rather than building them a custom form, I'd say, why don't you just put a link to a Google Doc?
And what did they say?
Okay. And then we cut that part of their budget and used it for something else.
Nice. Okay. Next part. Okay. Being in the tech world is glamorous. There's no denying about it, right? Didn't you ever wonder or get worried about parents, your mom, your dad, family saying, you know what, Rian? You know what, Colin? You guys are crazy. It would be a stupid move for you
Mm-hmm.
to just become pie makers.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't that scare you?
But I never had any intention of being a pie maker, so I never had that conversation. My dad and I were on the same page. I was bringing him pies on Sundays. We would eat it together. My dad's in the food business. He would say, "Oh, this is really good," and I'd be like, "Oh yeah, I don't know if I should like." He knew I was making it for friends and family. He's like, "Don't get into the food business. Don't do it. Make it for friends and family." He's in the food business.
Yes.
I was like, "Oh, yeah, totally, Dad. There's no way." I was like, "Oh, no way. I'm not gonna do this full time. This is just a hobby.
Mm-mm.
Don't worry. I'm not planning on it." And then we stopped doing our tech work. We stopped working for our client after it was already just like way too many pies, like so
Did
many
you
pies
tell
that we
them
could
that the
handle.
reason why you're stopping the tech work is because?
Oh my God, we did. We
And
had a
what did they-
conversation with my client, our long-term client that we'd been working with for 8 or 9 years. I said, "I'm so sorry, we have to stop." We're midway through a 3-year contract. A very, very, very nice 3-year contract. We were about a year and a half. And we were like, "We just can't.
What did the client say?
I have like 500 people on the wait list waiting for me to make a chocolate pie. I have to do something. I have to try harder." Like, I wanted so much to let everyone taste it. So I was working my way to increasing our volume.
Mhm.
We found a way to do it if the two of us worked full time on it
Okay.
together. I told him, like, we made this thing and it's starting to take off and we just have to see where it goes. They're really cool people. They're in the theater world, so I feel like they understand the creative process. They're really understanding. We helped them find a new agency.
Yes.
We did a whole like thing with them. We did a whole handoff. That whole thing was almost 9 months of
Mhm.
process, and then
I think that would be one of their funniest stories that they could share with all the other people in the tech world. That's, you know what? We had one supplier, they were really great, but they just gave us up for pies.
I see people, surprisingly though, because in the Bay Area, I mean, that's part of why we left too. It's really intense
Mhm.
there in tech and especially in with funding and startups. And I mean, we were doing agency stuff. So we were working with organizations that had budgets already, but just the feeling around it is really intense. And we weren't really into being part of that anyway. Oh, good timing.
Perfect. Hi, Colin. Okay, first question for you guys. Okay. I bet you guys entered the agency world because you guys wanted to make money.
Oh no.
No?
Oh
Seriously?
no. Oh no. Oh no.
Was it Colin who started the agency?
Yes.
Okay. What was the reason for starting the agency? Thank you.
So at the time, I was freelancing.
Yes.
Graphic design.
Okay, you started off with graphic design. Okay.
Doing magazines actually.
Okay.
So I was doing freelance. It was 2007.
Okay.
Every magazine in the world was folding. Was
Okay.
going out of business.
Yes.
Every magazine he worked with
Every
was
magazine
I
was
worked-
closed
2008.
within a year.
Yeah, it was like in the middle of that
Yes.
financial collapse.
Yes.
All of the magazines were going out of business. So I started working with some friends who were web developers
Yes.
that needed design. And I'd never done web work before. They had so much work and they were desperate for design. So we started working together, mostly because we were tired of being alone, working in our rooms, arguing with clients, arguing over budget.
Yes.
He didn't start the agency with like dreams or aspirations of being like this big, huge agency.
Yeah.
Most of our
Yeah.
clients were nonprofits. We then
Okay.
started working for museums, like
Yeah, I
people
saw
who,
the one in San Diego yata. Oh, basta. The
Mhm.
museum. Yeah.
yeah, aquarium,
Water
like
Aquarium.
yeah, educational organizations, nonprofits.
I started freelancing because I love design. And then I started loving programming and getting into that. But I didn't like negotiating contracts, sales. I was terrible at sales. And then also we were a bunch of 24-year-old nobodies.
Living in the
kids,
Bay Area.
Kids, you're
Yeah.
kids, right? And we're all
Yeah.
kids. And we all had done a little work.
Mhm.
We had done a little something each. But together we looked official.
Yeah.
When you
know?
got together
We're
with
like,
your
"Oh,
friends, you
look.
made a portfolio.
Oh, you were. Oh, wow. People would come to me like, wow, you worked for this person and this person and this person. We're like, yes,
Yes,
we
we
did.
all of us collectively.
So it was more. Yeah, it was a way. Like, I think we were trying to be less alone, play to each person's strengths and
Yes.
hide the weaknesses, and then have some infrastructure to have someone who could do project management, sales, contract stuff.
And here comes Rian with the
All the-
Yeah, because
pricing.
each of us individually could never support a full-time a
Product
partner
manager.
Yeah.
who was focused on that kind of stuff. But as a group, as a collective, it was very valuable.
So I was the first like business side
Like non-developer.
that they hired.
Yeah.
Okay. And you guys
So-
had experience entering Y Combinator, right? This is the first time that I'm hearing from someone who has first-hand experience with Y Combinator, whether it's online, offline, in person or not. But what was the best lesson that you got from there that you think you're still also applying with the pies?
I think it's that product market fit stuff.
Yeah.
That was cool. All the videos are online,
Yeah.
by the way.
They're all,
Mhm.
all
You can
on
all
YouTube.
watch
They're on
them.
YouTube for free.
Okay.
And you can watch them all for free. It's
Mhm.
really cool.
Mhm.
But
and
the
you
best
can
lesson that
also
you...
email them.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
If there's someone who
They
you
reply?
like, yes.
Yeah.
But the stuff about the
Product market fit, I
product
think,
market
was
fit.
really helpful. It's just like the thing that's nice about it is they described it as a feeling.
Okay.
You know, more
when
than
you meet it, when
it's
you
not
find
People
it.
a-
from the tech world saying that they
well, there's
describe
this
it
idea
like
of product market
feeling.
fit, right?
Okay.
So it's like because you can make something that has users, maybe even making some money,
Mm-mm.
but it can feel like a little bit. It's not the thing that they're talking about, right? 'Cause this is
Okay.
like it's like their goal is not regular businesses.
Yes.
Their goal is not to have a profitable, successful. That's that's not the
Yes.
startup thing, for better or for worse, right?
Yes.
But that's not their thing.
What
And so
they're-
their thing is sink all your money, lose
Yes.
all your money for a long time until you hit something that's never been thought of before. You find a market that nobody believed existed, right?
And
That
change
didn't
the
exist,
world.
change the world,
Yes,
all that
change
kind of
the
stuff.
world.
And so that idea of like there's this feeling that's like this undeniable traction
Yeah.
that you can't keep up. People are just clamoring for what you're doing. That isn't like, oh, good, we made money again this month, right? Oh,
It
this is
feels
oh,
completely
it's like,
different.
oh, good, this was profitable again. Maybe we should keep like it's not that. It's like you're going crazy. You can't keep up. You have no idea what you're doing. You're
we were
throwing random
staying up.
stuff. Yeah.
So basically, we think we found it. Like,
Right.
well, having watched that video, we heard what they were talking about. We were listening to it. We're like, okay, I guess we have to look for this thing.
Yeah.
We have to look for this thing, and when we find it, we'll know. And we're like, how will we know when we find it? We were asking ourselves those questions.
Yeah.
When we
It's a
found
tough
it, we knew.
question.
We were sleeping less than 4 hours a night. I could not. My DMs were just like blowing up. I could not keep up. I could not make enough pies.
Right.
The demand so vastly outstripped our capacity. And then we knew.
Basically, it turned out that there was a market that no one believed. Either we didn't, and then we didn't even know because like Ryan was saying, like we didn't start expecting to be this
big,
to be this big, to make this many pies, all that kind of.
And then we
Yeah, we
worked
didn't know.
so hard.
Yeah.
I mean, you're saying, oh, you guys, when you started, and you didn't need to
Yeah.
do it, and we didn't. When we found that fit, we found our people,
Mhm.
basically.
Your
We found-
tribe, yeah. Your people, yeah.
We found our pie people.
Your pie people, right?
Branding. See, I am good at marketing.
See?
I didn't do that on purpose. We found the people who wanted it and wanted it so desperately that they would wait on the wait list every single week. It was undeniable. And I could not just not do it. It felt the drive inside was like, I have to give them this experience. I
Mhm.
have to make this thing for them. And we have to make as many as possible, not just for the money, but for all of the people who are in my form. I could see them,
Wanting to have that experience,
and
right?
I wanted to give it so much. So we worked really, really, really hard on increasing our capacity.
Next question is this. You have a lot of celebrities who order. A lot of them, no, correction. You have a lot of celebrities who order. All of them went through the wait list. Didn't you ever get tempted to give in and just say, okay, for a special favor, maybe this person who's like a big celebrity would shout out our name, post that through their stories. Okay, let's just skip them through the wait list and give them a free pie.
Never.
It was at that time. Yeah, the answer is no. And part of the reason was, okay, there's two reasons.
Okay.
One, we didn't know a lot. We were
The
ignorant.
naivety.
Yeah, we
and
were
there's so many
naive.
people
We
on
were
the list.
naive.
Like, I couldn't
Yeah.
even
So
read them all.
that was part of it. But I think the other part of it was we weren't looking to increase at that point.
Yes.
We
just wanted to make
we had more
pies.
customers than we could fulfill. So we didn't want or need the promotion. And
Yeah.
actually, there was a time when Rand was saying, "Oh my gosh, if this person posts,
Everyone's gonna
everyone's
see
gonna start
it.
messaging me.
Yes.
It's gonna be more work for me, and I can't make more pies. So what's the point? It's like Sayang,
Yeah.
it's like the publicity. Right?
Yeah.
I can't make
This
more
is the-
pies anyway.
This
So
is the same reason why you asked if have we done a lot of interviews, and I said no because we turned down everything. I can
Okay.
count the number of interviews that we've done. The interviews that I've done are people who came to my house
Mm-hmm.
because I don't have time to go anywhere.
Yeah.
Anyone who asked me to go to a studio, I said no.
Okay.
It was also the pandemic, but I also don't have time for that. That's time that I could be making pies
And staying with the kids.
and being with the kids.
Yes.
I don't have time to drive to Makati.
people would say, "Oh, come do this show. They invite Rayanne. Come do this show. You'll get great publicity.
Yes.
I was like, no,
she's like-
don't talk about me.
Yeah.
Don't
No, not only
talk
that,
about
she'd be like, okay, and then what do? I have to take a day off of making pies. I have to make a bunch of pies on camera. This is all pie I can't sell.
Yeah.
That's all people that won't get a pie that day.
Yes.
And they don't pay you
Right.
in like a fee for that. There's
Yes.
no like appearance fee for that. It's considered free promotion. But if you don't need free promotion, I should not be spending my time
And we were thinking,
Doing it.
we're just better off staying home, making pie.
for the people who
We
want
get- And
it.
there's people that want it. You
Yeah.
know? And then I think, the other, like, I heard you talking about the selling, making sure you price your
Yes.
your stuff immediately. I think that was another Y Combinator thing that was really important. I think the other part about it is that it's how, and this is also a question about the celebrities, by the way, or answer about the celebrities. Like basically putting your actual product for the actual price out right away and finding out whether people want it is also how you find your perfect customer.
For context for everyone's that listening, the way that we normally would start a business is give away samples, give away
Right.
free stuff, right?
Yeah.
Give it to the most number of celebrities with the most
Exactly.
number of followers, and you will see the demand coming in. But the difference is that a free pie is different from a 2,500, 5,000, whatever price
Yeah.
of pie.
Yeah.
From a priced pie to a free pie,
Yeah.
totally different.
Yeah.
It's a bigger jump than from a stick of barbecue to a pie,
Yes.
right? Like
Yeah.
a free pie to a priced pie is a bigger jump than a free barbecue to a free pie,
Yes.
Mhm.
right? Because everybody loves free stuff. I think the same thing was true with the celebrities. It's true with all the customers. It's like by being really true to who we were,
Mm-hmm.
treating everybody the same, putting it out there and finding out who was on the same page as us, basically. We really found our people. Some of the celebrities were very angry.
To put
Honestly.
it nicely.
They're upset that their PA couldn't do this, get a pie last, and then there's others that were like, no problem.
They filled it up
They filled it
every
up themselves.
week. Themselves.
And
they didn't have someone else filling it
Yeah.
up for them. Every person who fills up my Google form, it's a short form. It's your name, it's your Instagram
Yeah.
address,
Yeah.
it's the pie you want. But every person who takes the time to fill up my form took the time to click the link and fill up that
Yeah,
form.
that-
Like,
they put in effort. We really appreciate that. And through that, I think we found customers from everywhere
Mhm.
that really appreciate what we do, and we
Yeah.
really appreciate them. It's
Yeah.
like,
Okay.
if you really put yourself out there,
Mhm.
and it's a vulnerable thing
Yeah.
to do, right? It's like, this is what we make. This is how much it costs. And you just
This
put
is
it out
how you
there.
can order.
This is how you can order.
mhm.
You really find the customers that your customers for life. You
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah.
Like
Maybe-
us.
Yeah. And the ones
Exactly.
who've been ordering have been there here with me for the beginning.
And start spreading the word about it, sharing the
Yeah.
pies.
And it's much more valuable. I think for
Yeah.
me, it's much more valuable to have someone who's come to my home, who's met me, who got a pie, who ate it, was the best pie they've ever had, for them to turn to their friend and say, this was the best pie I've ever had. Then for some Instagram influencer
Absolutely.
to post a picture of the thing and then the Instagram
Yeah.
handle.
Smiley face.
So
Okay.
much more because that
Yeah.
person's sister and their in-laws and their parents and the cousins all became instant customers of mine.
Yeah. I think before we started, Rand was telling you about the beginning, we were just doing referrals.
Yes.
Kind of like friends only kind of
Yes.
stuff. And then at some point when we finally opened it up, I feel like for 3 months, 50% of our customers were friends with this one person.
Yeah.
Was not a
It
celebrity.
turns out- No, she's no,
1,000 followers.
neighbor.
Just like friend of someone's friend's sister and we're just like, who is this person? And
They
then
started
they were
name
already
dropping.
one.
No,
Yeah, they
'cause-
were already
but they were
one
just- yeah.
one
Step away. Like, we
removed.
hadn't met them.
I don't think we'd even met them in person, and everyone was like, "I'm a friend of."
Yeah.
I'm a friend of, and I was like, "Oh wow!"
And
this
I think
person
that
has
was
a
the
lot-
lesson. That was like the big lesson of the influencer stuff.
Yeah.
It's like we were like kind of random person in our life
Started
was,
off as a cold
was so much
stranger.
more valuable to us
Yeah.
as our business than any celebrity could have been at that time, because everybody who she talked to really believed her. They had a personal connection.
Yeah.
And that I think it was an amazing boost at the beginning of our
Okay.
journey.
For the doubters again. Okay, for the doubters. Doesn't it get tiring?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
the
I'm so
service
tired.
that you're providing, the effort that you're putting in, just having the conversation, having to reply, it's so easy at this stage right now. Just hand it off to someone else. Okay, just take the order. I don't have to
Never.
face you because I already am making the money. I know I've already found product market fit. I can take myself off because it's just too tiring.
I will
I-
never do that.
Why?
I won't. It's why I do what I do. The whole reason I do it is for people. If you take the people out, it's not fun anymore. I'll be so lonely. It is annoying. I have to respond to every single person. I have to send them the confirmation to every single person. Sometimes it's just a confirmation and then a payment, and then here's your pickup date and here's the time. And that's it. Those things can totally be outsourced. Sometimes
Yes.
it's like, my sister is really sick. She just wanted to let you know she's going through chemo right now. And it was the only thing she could eat.
Oh.
Sometimes it makes you, I've cried so many times. I can't take it away. Sometimes it's people who've come to my house and I met them in person. They're no longer with us. It was COVID. A lot of people passed away.
Or they ordered for their dad for his birthday, and he
he's no
passed
longer
away
with us.
before
And
he
they're-
picked up the pie.
And they're ordering for his anniversary in heaven.
Ah.
I can't take it away. I'll
So
never
getting
take it away.
Tired. Yes, you would get tired, but
The only
when
thing
you
that makes it
remember
work-
all those things, that drives you again. That gives you the energy.
And I think it's also why we would scale down before
Before.
outsource.
Agreed.
Okay.
We've talked about this. Like when we're really exhausted, it's like 1:30 in the morning
Last night.
last night. We're getting up at 6 to bring the kids to school. We would rather make fewer pies than outsource, I think. 'cause
And that's when we pull the
yeah.
form. We cut the days.
that's the real answer, right? It's about the
Yeah.
people. In terms of some of this like businessy stuff too, I think in a lot of ways the pie itself isn't the product. It's this whole thing. It's this Rayanne and the stories and us and like how we make it and what we do. Of course, we always want to make the best pie that anyone's
Yes.
ever put in their mouth. That's our goal always. But it tastes different. It tastes
It
different
does.
without the
Yeah.
story,
The whole
you know, and
thing.
the whole thing. It's the whole thing is really the product, you know, and it's
If
like
somebody else was doing it, if somebody
Yeah.
else was making the dough, it would definitely taste different.
Mm-hmm.
If someone else was responding to your messages, it would taste different too.
Mm-hmm.
In the same way that if it was somebody else who was coming up with the recipes, it would also taste different. You know what I mean? All those things are what make our product our product. It's what makes our pie our pie.
And it's also why a lot of the fact that you would write so much about each flavor, especially at the beginning, you know, it's like every pie had a story, every story. And it was like, we always talked about those stories. It's like the metric for if a pie is good is if you want another slice right away.
Okay.
The metric of if the story was good is if you like had a little tear. You know,
Yeah.
you started tearing up. I'd be
Yeah.
like, she would show it to me and I'd be like, I would either like tear up or like not. And if I didn't tear up, she'd rewrite it. You know, until
I
like
was like, I didn't say
it had
what
to
I was.
like hit
Yeah.
like an emotional note. It's what made it fun for us, and I think it's what people connected to.
I'm so excited for where Hey Pie People is going. Yeah. The people would not be taken away. I think that's really the story, the strength of Hey Pie. Not just the pricing, not just how outrageous the sizes are of these pies, right? You wouldn't even see a pie this big, right? The experience. But I'm so excited for you guys. I think we've picked up a lot of lessons. One of the best lessons that I learned here is that you price your worth. You understand what you really want to do. Regardless, I think that what's missing was me saying this, regardless of what status you have in life, the financial status that you have in life. Otherwise, you'd be trapped in that thing wherein you have to price it at this price because you have to make this amount of money. If you could separate those two things, you could probably make a good living out of your passion without sacrificing your time, without sacrificing your money. Ian, Colin, last words for a struggling freelancer, but who already knows that they've got the talent. What's one specific hack that you can share with them with regards to increasing their pricing?
I mean, I was thinking of a story sort of at the end of our agency days where we were honestly tired of negotiating contracts.
Okay.
We were
Yeah.
tired of specking.
Yeah.
It took so
Oh, we're like,
long to
how long?
estimate. It would take so long to
Weeks.
estimate.
It'd be
It's like the
weeks.
same amount of time as just
Yeah.
building the thing
Right,
at
'cause
a
you're
certain
like you're
point.
meeting with them, you're getting things back. They won't tell you their budget,
Yeah.
so
all
you've
the
got
time.
to pry, you've got to bid, you've
Group
got to talk
around
to people.
to find out.
Oh, it was exhausting.
In this time, I could have built your website.
Yeah, exactly. And so at some point, we had this idea, so kind of a motto: just give us your budget. Just like whatever your budget is, just give it to us.
We'll
We're
take
just gonna
care of it.
work until you're happy.
Which
Just
is so
give it-
scary.
Super.
Super, because you know, and a lot of it came out of the beginning part was like hourly.
Yes.
I'm gonna work on this for 2.5 hours, and then this for 2.5. Like,
He hated the estimate.
and so we you know, and we got out of that by sort of doing agile stuff.
Yes.
Right. So it's like we'll work for a week, and these are your, and then you know, these are your priorities, and then. But even that got tiring, you know, because customers don't understand. They're like, "Well, but I thought we were going to get this." And we're like, so then this is the final iteration. It's just like we knew we were good at our jobs.
Mm-hmm.
We had done this. We've been doing it for 10 years at that point or something. We knew how to make these customers happy.
Yes.
We had a lot of experience negotiating, working through problems. So we knew we could do it. Let's sit down. This is going to be a 5-minute negotiation. tell us how much you have, give it to us,
and we'll give
And
it
we-
all to us,
give
and
it
we'll
all to
take
us,
care of you.
and we will
We'll
just
take care of
and you
everything.
and I promise you and your board and your customers, everyone's gonna be happy. Like I can promise that. Okay, anyway.
Caveat: the only reason you're able to do that is trust. This is a client that we had been working with for a very, very, very long time.
Okay.
So here, hack, what I would do, just like the pies, as with freelance, I would start with the people.
Okay.
You start with the people, you build that trust, then you can do
Mm-mm.
whatever you want. You can
Yes.
figure it out because people can figure things out. There's not a magic process or a magic hack to innovate
Or an
it to-
AI
or something.
ChatGPT.
for how to estimate, then how to
How
price.
much should this
Yeah, how
website
much
cost?
does it? There's no averages either. There's no
Yeah.
like you look at other websites or other apps, and then this is how much they cost. So mine should cost this way. Once you have that trust built, you can figure it out with people,
Okay.
just like the pies.
Just
Once
like the
you
pies.
build the trust, you have a relationship. You build that trust. We can figure it out together, no matter what.
Actually, you do
I've
make a
seen-
good point. Yeah.
And you know, I feel like some of our best customers, high customers, have come out of mistakes, problems.
Like that late one,
Mm.
and you blow their mind, and they come back.
We messed up something
Sent
that didn't
them the wrong
happen, sent them the
flavor.
wrong flavor. You know,
It's the
things
wrong
happen,
date.
right? Things happen.
All kinds of things happen.
Basically, the way that you respond to that, like,
Oh yeah.
right? It's like you could be
Good
like,
point.
"No, that was
That's
your
not the
fault."
one you paid for.
Or we're just
I'm-
sorry.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
I
It
don't
won't
replace
happen
things
again.
in
Won't happen
something.
again. Like I feel like we take the same approach with those people as do with the pies. You try to blow their mind
Mm-hmm.
with their customer service.
Yes.
And
And
you-
regardless of situation, you make the
Yeah.
best out of it because it's an opportunity for you
Yeah.
to
Yes.
over deliver again,
Right.
taking it over the top.
Exactly. Exactly.
And
then
now we have this trust, and now we have a
Right.
trust built, and we're friends.
I'm thinking right now, even if you make a pie that's worth like 20,000 pesos, people are still gonna buy because you built the trust. Now the only question is, what kind of pie is this?
Right? I was like, wow, what could I do with 20,000 pesos? I'll make the best pie you can imagine.
It'll
It's
be
gonna
like,
be
let's call it a fiesta pie, right? A big pie, whatever.
you know what it is? It's a ratatouille moment.
Ratatouille. Yeah.
yeah.
I would pay 20,000 pesos for that ratatouille moment. I've cried. I've had experiences where I've legit shed tears
Mm-mm.
From
Agree.
eating.
from food.
Yeah.
It exists, and there's no price for that.
Thank you so much for this time.
Thank you.
For people who are, it's crazy for you not to be curious about these pies. The link is in the description.
Oh, thanks.
Get ready to be on the wait list in
Ah.
case. But their pies are the best. Super worth it. If you can, don't have it picked up by Grab. Pick it up yourselves. Grab the opportunity. I'm not saying that they'll meet you in person, but if there's that chance, you will meet them. The story behind Hey Pie People is one of the best. Maraming salamat. Bye, Bashers.
Bye, bashers.